My name is Claire Harrington. I'm 38. I sat in a board meeting, filling in as note-taker. My sister Diana smirked across the mahogany table. "Stick to your little side jobs," she said. Dad nodded. "Leave business to professionals." The table shone like a mirror, warping my face. I kept writing. Her numbers didn't add up. When the room cleared, I sent one text to my director. "Withdraw all $85 million from Diana's expansion." They mocked my pen, until their funding started screaming. "Tell me where you're watching from right now. A quiet kitchen, a parked car, or a late-night room. This is Echoes of Life, and you're not alone." 5 years ago, Dad stopped seeing me as a leader. He started seeing me as helpful. I was the daughter who handled details. Diana was the daughter who got the spotlight. When Mom died, Grandma Elise left me a trust. $8 million, placed under my name, no family access. Dad called it nice padding. Diana called it lucky money. I called it a chance to build something quietly. I learned markets the way I learned this family. Watch first. Document everything. Speak only when it matters. At night, my laptop glowed beside cold coffee. By day, I sat in meetings and got assigned busy work. "Can you grab the printouts? Can you take minutes?" "Just stay in your lane, Claire." I did stay in my lane. I built Pinnacle Holdings through partners and clean structures. I became majority shareholder without a headline. That $8 million became $218 million. Not by gambling, by reading footnotes Diana never noticed. And by never signing what I didn't fully understand. Diana's promotion made the room colder. She talked in slogans and grand timelines. Dad loved it because it sounded like him. Gerald, our CFO, asked careful questions. Diana answered with smiles and steamroller confidence. 3 months ago, Diana complained in the hallway. Investors weren't moving fast enough. She said the market was begging for her vision. I listened, then I made one quiet call. Pinnacle offered her financing on gentle terms. She signed, thrilled, never asking who owned Pinnacle. So today, when she calls me secretary, I don't flinch, because the money she's counting on answers to me. And if she wants it back, she'll finally need my name. She thought I was taking notes, until I started taking control. The next morning, I walked in before the sun did. The lobby smelled like lemon cleaner and cold stone. My badge still said analyst. My work already said something else. I was only in that boardroom because the assistant was out sick. Dad said, "Just take notes, Claire." Like I was a spare pen he could borrow. At 6:12 a.m., Brandon texted. "Withdrawal initiated. Compliance review started." I stared at the number like it could blink. $85,000. On the executive floor, Diana's heels clicked like a metronome. She sailed past me with a latte and a grin. "Send the minutes," she said. Not "good morning," not my name. Dad passed next. He didn't look at my face. He looked at my hands. "Be useful today," he said. In my office, 2 monitors glowed with market data. The company wouldn't buy me new screens. I bought them myself. I paid for my own tools. Then I got told to stay small. At 10:03, Diana emailed the board. Subject: expansion, final green light. Permits in 2 weeks, hiring in 30 days, groundbreaking in 3. Dates that only work in slides. Gerald stopped by at lunch. He didn't sit. He didn't smile. He just said, "This plan will break us." I asked, "Have you told Dad?" His eyes answered first. "I tried," he said. He hears her confidence and thinks it's competence. At 2:40, Brandon texted again. "Transfer path confirmed. Settlement in progress." My throat tightened, then steadied. This wasn't revenge. It was a boundary with paperwork. I watched Diana present that afternoon. She said vision like it was a shield. She waved away Gerald's questions. She called risk negativity. Dad nodded at every slide. I circled 3 numbers in my notebook. Labor costs, material inflation, cash flow exposure. I didn't argue. I documented. Thursday afternoon, Brandon sent one line. "Withdrawal now irreversible." I read it twice. Then I closed my eyes. The room felt quieter, like snow. That night, I ate takeout at my kitchen counter. My coffee tasted like burnt regret. My fridge hummed. Rain tapped my window. I checked the transfer status anyway. Clean steps, clean timestamps, clean compliance. By Friday, Diana would still be smiling. She wouldn't know the floor was already shifting. And when she finally looked for me, it wouldn't be for my notes. It would be for my signature. By the time she asked for help, the money would be gone. If this were your family and your future, what would you do? Comment 1 to keep the peace and stay silent. Comment 2 to protect your name and pull the plug. Friday, 2:15 p.m. My phone started screaming. First Diana, then again, like she could wring the money back. An emergency alert hit the internal dashboard. Liquidity risk, vendor penalties, red numbers everywhere. I let it hit voicemail once. On the fourth call, I answered. "What's wrong?" I asked, calm on purpose. Her breath came in sharp pulls. "Pinnacle withdrew," she said. "Full withdrawal. No negotiation." Her voice cracked. "We're dead." Behind her, I heard printers and frantic footsteps. I pictured her conference slides with their perfect dates. I pictured the contracts already signed. I pictured Gerald's face when he said, "Disaster." "That's awful," I said. "What will you do?" "I don't know," she snapped. "The other firms aren't calling back. Groundbreaking is in 3 weeks. Equipment is ordered. Vendors want deposits." Then her tone softened, just a little. The childhood version of her surfaced. "You know finance people," she said. "From your little investing thing. Can you make some calls?" I looked at my notebook. One line stood out in my own handwriting. "Irreversible." "I can ask around," I said. "I can't promise anything." "Thank you," she breathed. "I knew I could count on you." I ended the call and made 0 calls. I watched the clock. I watched my inbox. I waited for the next shoe. At 4:02, Dad's assistant appeared at my door. "Mr. Harrington wants you upstairs. Now." Dad's office smelled like cedar and expensive aftershave. Diana was pacing, hair pulled back too tight. Dad's jaw worked like he was chewing glass. "The financing collapsed," Dad said. "We're exposed on signed contracts." Diana cut in fast. "We only need $85 million now." We adjusted scope, delayed some buys. Her eyes flicked to me, like the number was a coincidence. Dad leaned forward. "Diana says you have contacts." "We need help, Claire. Not minutes, not notes. Help." I kept my voice even. "Most investors are risk-averse," I said. "Your timeline is aggressive. Your contracts are loud." Diana bristled. "Unless your contacts are amateurs," she hissed. "I have one option," I said. "It's clean and compliant." They followed every clause, every deadline. But they want control. Dad didn't blink. "What kind of control?" "Monthly reporting," I said. "Approval over major spend. Penalty clauses for mismanagement. And a project liaison with full access." Diana's eyes narrowed. "You," she said. "Yes," I replied. "Me." Silence thickened. The city looked pale through the glass. Dad finally said, "Send the terms." I nodded and stood. Diana's voice followed me like a blade. "You better not mess this up." I didn't turn around. I opened my laptop and started drafting. This wasn't a rescue. It was a reset. They didn't need my forgiveness. They needed my signature. I sent the terms at 5:11, 3 pages, no insults, just guardrails. Diana called within 5 minutes. "These are ridiculous," she snapped. "No investor asks for veto power." "This investor does," I said, "because your last one ran. And because the numbers don't forgive pride." She hung up. Dad called an hour later. Gerald reviewed it. He said, "We're accepting." He sounded older than yesterday. "Make it happen." Monday morning, the funds arrived. Not with fireworks, with wire confirmations, with compliance receipts, with a new line item in finance. Project oversight, liaison, Claire Harrington. Facilities moved my boxes that afternoon. My old office was on the 3rd floor, a corner without windows. Now I had glass and sunlight. 3 doors down from Diana. The carpet smelled new, like someone else's promotion. She didn't come congratulate me. She came to measure the distance. Her eyes swept my new doorway like a threat assessment. "So this is how it is," she said. You get rewarded for sabotage. I got assigned responsibility, I replied, because the company needed it. The next week, I opened the project files. Every contract, every vendor quote, every timeline promise. And the deeper I read, the worse it got. Diana had ordered equipment before financing closed. She'd signed penalties into every deadline. She'd priced labor like the year was still 2015. She'd hired friends of friends as vendors. No bids, no audits, just confidence. I didn't call her names. I built a report. 40 pages. Tables of regional wages. Market growth averages. Weather delays. Permit cycles. Risk probabilities. Gerald came by with coffee. He didn't ask how I did it. He just said, "Good." Like he'd been waiting years. I scheduled a meeting with Dad, Diana, Gerald, and the team. When everyone sat down, Diana stared at her phone. Like I was still notes. I stood at the head of the table anyway. I walked them through the evidence. Then I gave solutions. Rebid vendors. Extend timeline. Raise wages. Renegotiate terms. Cut the failure rate almost in half. Diana interrupted. 8 extra months is unacceptable. This is fear, she said, not leadership. I met her eyes. Innovation isn't gambling with other people's jobs. Dad asked one question. Gerald? Gerald nodded once. She's right. Diana's face flushed. Dad's voice stayed quiet. Implement her plan. Effective immediately. Then he looked at me. You're Senior VP of Strategic Operations. The room went still. Diana stood so fast her chair scraped. This is insane, she said. And she walked out. Dad waited until the door clicked. Then he said, softer, I should have seen you sooner. I didn't celebrate. I just breathed. Because I finally understood the cost. I won the title, but the family table was breaking. 6 months later, the expansion site finally broke ground. Not on Diana's fantasy date. On a date that could survive weather and inspectors. I drove out before sunrise. Mud clung to my boots. Generators hummed. The air smelled like diesel and wet soil. A foreman handed me a hard hat without jokes. Inside the trailer, the budget board was simple. Line items. Sign-offs. No magic. Just numbers that told the truth. Diana kept her COO title, but big decisions now required documentation. She hated that word. I started loving it. We didn't become close. We became clear. She spoke to me in meetings only. I stopped chasing warmth that wasn't offered. Dad changed in quieter ways. He asked questions before praising slides. He read my reports at night, not just Gerald's summaries. Once he said, "Good catch," like it cost him. At home, my life stayed calm. My apartment overlooked the river. The fridge hummed. Rain traced the glass. I cooked dinner without checking my phone for approval. I didn't do this to punish Diana. I did it to stop disappearing. Respect shouldn't require humiliation as an entrance fee. When the board offered me a new role, I didn't rush. I asked for written authority and defined boundaries. No family expectations clauses. No vague promises. Some people call that cold. I call it safe. Because the truth is simple. I can love my family and still protect myself. I can build this company and still refuse to be used. And if Diana ever wants a real sister again, she'll have to meet me where respect lives. I didn't take their power away. I stopped lending them mine. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Echoes of Life is here for more stories of quiet strength.